Hey guys, so it's episode 6 of Ask Scott. First of all, just want to say thanks for all the comments that you left below Ask Scott episode 5 last week. And again, at the end of this episode, if you've got any questions that you want answered, just leave them below. Just anything, gear, bass, business, networking, anything you want to know, just leave them below. I'll go through them with my team and then we'll pick some cool ones out and we'll answer them in next week's Ask Scott. Okay, so first of all, just want to give a shout out as well to everybody that has been asking about the chords course that's coming at the end of this month. Okay, so right at the end of this month we'll be releasing a 6-hour chords course into the Scott's Bass Lessons Academy course library, and it's going to be epic. It's over 6 hours, full tab, notation, the full shebang. I'm going from everything from triads, seven, everything like all the stuff that you heard me play at the beginning of this video, but right through to complex stuff, arranging, how to get that into your playing, inversions, using chords in grooves. It is all covered in there. And if you're interested in that course, we've got this special promotion going on as well, that anybody that joins in the first 7 days of the course being released is going to get some special live training with me as well. So we're all going to get on some group chat stuff. It's going to be completely live. You're going to be able to ask me questions and all that kind of thing. Obviously about the course, I'm going to be talking about specific topics in that course, but you ain't going to want to miss it. So if you want to get on the early bird list so you get notified as soon as the course gets released, there's a link. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit the link. It'll take you through to a page, follow the instructions and get your email on the early bird list. And if you're watching this on Scott's Bass Lessons, again, there's just a link below this video. Hit that, follow the instructions, and then you'll get notified as soon as that course gets released. So let's get on with the questions. Adam Hutchinson asks, how would you approach super behind the beat playing as featured on a lot of modern soul and hip hop, like Pino's playing on Jose James Vanguard, for example? Really, really interesting question, man. So there's a few different techniques that you can use. I actually heard Ed Friedland describing this really well the other day. Well, not the other day, it was about a month ago. Ed does live Q&A sessions in the live Q&A seminars in the academy over at Scott's Bass Lessons. We've got a ton of cool guys doing live seminars every week. And somebody asked Ed the same question, right? And he said it's like a seesaw. He said, and that's how he kind of imagines himself on this seesaw. In the middle of the seesaw, you're directly on the beat. He said, you lean one side and you sort of like go behind the beat, and then you lean the other side and you sit in front of the beat. So it's a really, really cool description of it, that. So how do you practice it? Well, me personally, I practice it with a metronome. So I practice sitting on the beat. So I'll put the metronome on every quarter. And I'll play, just a riff along with the beat. And then I'll try and give it or pull back. So I'm playing behind the beat. So it's like I'm kind of flamming against the metronome to a certain extent, and then I'll do the opposite and try pushing as well. Something else, another tip that you can give you that behind the beat feel is the articulation you use. So for instance, if I was to play, if I was to use, I'm digging in a little bit more with my right hand. The articulate, you can give it that behind the beat feel by using different articulations like slides and that kind of thing. So it's not just, for me, it's not just playing behind the beat, it's like the articulation of it as well really helps. And I think listening to guys and playing along with guys that play behind the beat is really cool as well. I was listening to an Aretha record. My wife is like a massive Aretha Franklin nut, and it was in the car, and it starts off, I don't even know the tune, right? So that's how the tune starts. If anybody knows what that tune is by Aretha Franklin, write it down below, okay? Because the intro is just like, the bass is so behind the beat, it's insane. My point is, listening to people that play behind the beat really helps, just to get used to the sound of it. I naturally play right on top of the beat, so for me, getting that, I had to put time into getting that behind the beat feel, whereas some people will be completely opposite. They'll feel it behind the beat, and to give it that push, that, you know, that on top of the beat feel, they'll need to listen to people playing like that and practice it. Like Sting, for instance, he really pushes, he's like crazy on top of the beat. Like he's way in front of the beat. And guys like Pino, he's like more on the back end of it. Jameson, I would say, was more on the back end of it. So just listen to people and try and sort of like make a little catalogue, make notes of how people play along with them, and try and copy their style as well. And also what's really interesting, and DMAC behind the camera pointed this out, is that a lot of the time when you listen to, for instance, like, let's say like D'Angelo when he did Voodoo, I think was it Voodoo? Yeah, like we were listening to that the other day, and you can tell like a lot of it's manipulated in post-editing as well. So they sort of like move things around in post-editing, time-wise, you know, shift them, and it gives it a great feel. For instance, the guitar on one of those tracks is so I can't remember what track it is. It's so behind the beat. If you listen, what is it? Spanish joint, yeah. So on a Spanish joint, the guitar is really behind the beat, but if you actually listen to them play live, there's a few clips of them playing live on YouTube, the guitar is right on the beat. So for me, I thought, I wonder if they've just sort of like shifted that back a little bit in post-editing, and like a ton of stuff like that goes on. So, you know, hopefully that answered your question. Thanks for it, it's a great one. Patrick Rowling asks, great video, Scott, and now for something completely different. How about a picture back when you had hair? Yeah, Patrick, how about this?
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Okay, if you don't go to the gym, what do you do for exercise? And in your experience, how does staying in good physical shape relate to playing music? Have I said that I don't go to the gym in a video? I think I must have. That's weird, right? So yeah, I don't go to the gym, but I wish I did. And I should say that I'm a real badminton freak. Not that I play much at the minute, but I love badminton. I used to play it sort of like, you know, 2 or 3 times a week. But over the last year, I've been sort of like working my tail off so much that I haven't really had much time to go down the gym. And I know that is a bad excuse. So anyway, so the question, physical shape, does it? Yeah, I think so, yeah. So for me, personally, I feel, you know, if I'm feeling fit, I feel sort of like just better in myself, a happier person, you know. So it's gonna, I would say, you know, being in good physical shape and not a complete wreck would help your overall well-being as a person. How does it affect your musicality and things like that? I'm not sure it does really. You know, there's been amazing albums done by guys that are just, you know, destroying their bodies, and the albums sound great, and I'm sure sort of like physically those guys weren't in, you know, Jim Morrison, you know, those guys like that sort of like push things to the edge. There's a ton of guys that come to mind, you know. Unfortunately, just like Jim Morrison, a lot of them sort of like their lives ended early, but the contribution that they had to music and their, you know, their creativity was just sort of like off the scale. So I'm not sure. Personally, for me, I always feel better if I'm feeling good and sort of, you know, healthy. But for some guys, it seems like they're a little bit bulletproof and they can just sort of like, you know, go at it and they don't need that in their lives. So, but thanks for the question, man. Interesting one. Hey Scott, quick question. What's been your worst gig? My worst gigs, so I've had a ton of these. There's some really funny stories I could tell you about bad gigs that I've had and bad gigs that friends of mine have had. Everybody has bad gigs, right? So that's the first thing. Yes, I've had bad gigs. My worst gig, not my worst gig, but my funniest moment, I would say, is where I was playing on, it was some sort of like award ceremony where you have to play people on stage. So I'm on there and there was, literally no rehearsal or anything like that. We just sat with the music in front of us. And generally, when we're playing people on stage, it's like a snippet from a tune, okay? Like a well-known tune. So I turn the page, it says Superstition, okay? Superstition, and Superstition's, the original is in the E flat. It's got E flat crossed out in pen and A written with a big, circle around it and arrows at it. So, like any normal human being, I'm sort of like, flip the page, I'm like, oh, okay, so they're not doing it in the original key, they're doing it in A. That's all I thought. So I'm looking for the cue, and it's a big band. Oh, and I forgot to mention as well, it's through sort of like I think it was like a 20k rig, okay, so massive rig. It's kind of sort of like in a mini arena type of thing. So like huge, huge PA. Huge sound is about to happen. So I'm waiting there, I'm looking at the musical director, I'm waiting for my cue. I'm like, yeah, it's not in E flat, it's in A. I'm on my A. I've got my A going on. And it was Superstition as well, right? So, boom. The drums start, I'm grooving, they're walking up, the person that's coming on for the award thing is walking up. I'm like, and then everybody comes in at the same time, except the person that had written A on my sheet, it was from a completely different gig, and everybody else was still playing in E flat. So I think I probably played one of the loudest tritones in history. So a tritone is this. So imagine all of the rest of the band playing in E flat. So it sounded like this. So there was like 20,000 watts of tritone hitting the audience. It was just immense. It was immense. People, I don't even know what it felt like to be in the audience. It must have been crazy. People must have been passing out. So that was probably like one of the weirdest experiences. Like obviously it only took me a bar, if not like maybe even like less than that, to realise that everybody else was in E flat, but it was so funny. So there's a story for you. Anyway, thanks for the question, man. Okay guys, thanks again for all the questions. Remember, if you have any questions for me for next week's show, just bob them in the comments below this video. Me and my team will read through them all, select some, and then we'll get it in next week's show. And also remember that we've got the chords course, over 6 hours, the full shebang, getting uploaded into the Scott Space Sessions Academy course library at the end of this month. And anybody that joins within the first 7 days of the chords course being released also gets super, super cool live training with me as well. I think I'm going to be doing a few as well, and it's going to be downloadable. So anyway, and if you want that, hit the link below this video. It'll take you through to a page, blah, blah, blah. Follow the instructions. You get it, right? So I'll see you next week. Take it easy. I'll see you in the shed.